Hey guys, it's me again. From now on I'm going to make the other ships sail as well. After that, I'll go back to Osasuna. Hope you guys enjoy it too. Love you. Warning, this video might contain curse words. The living room was buzzing now, the kind of restless energy that came when everyone was just a little too tipsy, too warm, and too curious for their own good. Someone, probably Toru, threw the idea out first, and within seconds it caught like wildfire. 7 minutes in heaven is fun. He drawled, grin sharp. What if we did that instead? There were groans, laughter, even a few sarcastic claps, but nobody objected. The circle tightened. The bottle spun again, spinning wildly across the floor, everyone holding their breath until it slowed, and finally stopped, the neck pointing at Ushijima. The room fell into an odd silence, because of course it landed on him. Toru's smile grew wolfish. And his matches. He spun again, and the bottle clicked to a stop. Tendou. A ripple of laughter shot around the circle. Tendou just tipped his head back, cackling like this was fate itself. Guess it's our turn, Wakatoshi-kun. Ushijima didn't even blink. He simply stood, and Tendou followed, both of them disappearing into the nearest empty room. The door shut behind them. Few years back, Tendou had always been loud, too sharp, too weird for most people. He knew it, wore it like armor, and let it cut before anyone else could. But Ushijima never flinched. Not once. The first time they'd met, Tendou had made some offhand joke during practice about how boring volleyball drills were, expecting the usual stares or polite dismissal. Instead, Ushijima had turned to him with that flat, honest voice and said, "You should do them anyway. It will make you stronger." No mockery, no judgment. Just an unshakable certainty that Tendou could be better, if he wanted. It turned into late-night talks on the way home from practice, Tendou pushing for reactions and Ushijima offering quiet, grounding truths. He'd never admit it out loud, not even to himself, but Tendou had gotten used to people looking at him like he was a joke. Teachers sighing when he spoke out of turn. Classmates whispering behind his back, mocking his lanky frame, his blunt teeth, his laugh that came too sharp, too high. He played the clown on purpose, because clowns were untouchable. You could laugh at them, but you couldn't really hurt them if they were already laughing at themselves. Except sometimes it did hurt. More than he wanted it to. One afternoon, he'd come to practice later than usual, still pissed off from hearing some second years in the hallway call him monster. He'd thrown his bag down and barked a laugh like it didn't matter, but the sting was there. Shirabu had looked at him, frowning like he was about to snap something snide, but Ushijima spoke first. "Who called you that?" Tendou hadn't noticed he was talking to himself out loud instead of thinking. The whole gym went quiet. Tendou froze mid-stretch. Nobody ever asked like that, so direct, so serious. He tried to brush it off with a crooked grin. Just some idiots. Don't worry about it, Wakatoshi-kun. Monsters are cool anyway. Ushijima didn't smile. He held his gaze steady, voice low but carrying through the room. "You're not a monster. You're our blocker. And you're strong." It was the way he said it, like it was fact, not encouragement, not pity. Just truth. Tendou had to laugh, because what else could he do? But his chest felt lighter that whole practice. Afterward, walking home side by side in the dusky light, Tendou nudged him with an elbow. "You really don't care what people say, huh? Must be nice." "I care about volleyball." Ushijima replied simply. "I care about my team." "You're part of that." Tendou tilted his head back, cackling into the sky. "Man, you really don't give me much to work with, do you? Just all straightforward and serious. I can't decide if I wanna shake you or keep you." Ushijima blinked. "Why would you shake me?" Tendou laughed harder. But inside, that answer, the absolute sincerity of it burned into him. Because maybe, just maybe, someone in the world wasn't waiting to tear him apart. Someone saw him exactly as he was and didn't think it needed fixing. Full stop. The bullying hadn't stopped, of course. People didn't just suddenly decide Tendou was okay because he made the starting lineup. The whispers followed him through the halls. Creep, freak, monster. One day, Tendou was heading to class when a couple of third years cornered him by the lockers. They weren't subtle about it. One sneered, tugging on his sleeve. Hey, redhead. You really think you belong with Ashiwaka's team? You look like a damn scarecrow out there. Tendou flashed them his trademark grin, sharp and unsettling. Scarecrows scare things off, you know. Works just fine for me. But they didn't laugh with him, they laughed at him, closing in. One of them muttered something about monster eyes and shoved his shoulder. Tendou barked out a too loud laugh, trying not to let the sting reach his face. Before he could retort, a calm voice cut in. Don't touch him. The bullies turned. Ushijima stood there, tall and immovable, eyes unreadable but heavy with quiet authority. He didn't raise his voice, he didn't need to. This doesn't concern you, Ashiwaka. One of them scoffed, though he took a half step back. Ushijima tilted his head. Tendou is my teammate. If it concerns him, it concerns me. The tension thickened. That was when Semi appeared, walking up with his usual cool smirk. He glanced between Tendou and the others, then slipped easily into the conversation. Wow, third years, huh? Picking on our middle blocker like you've got nothing better to do? Must feel amazing, bullying someone who's actually out on the court while you're rotting on the bench. The color drained from the bullies' faces, and they muttered curses under their breath as they walked off. Tendou let out a sharp cackle, but his eyes darted to both of them, Ushijima, steady as stone, and Semi, smug with victory. Well, my knights in shining jerseys. Didn't know you cared so much. Semi rolled his eyes, adjusting his bag strap. Don't get used to it. Just can't stand watching assholes waste their breath. Ushijima, ever blunt, added, I told you. You're part of my team. I don't want my team being treated like that. For a second, just a second, Tendou's grin faltered. Something warm and shaky curled in his chest, unfamiliar and dangerous. He turned it into a laugh, throwing an arm dramatically around both of them. Oh, you guys are gonna make me cry. Look at us. Sejo's got their golden boy, and I've got two heroes. Lucky me. Back to the present. The door shut with a dull click. Tendou leaned back against it immediately, flashing his usual grin, arms wide like he was about to perform a magic trick. Well, here we are. 7 minutes. 7 whole minutes. You know, that's actually a long time if you think about it. Like, do you realize how much could happen in 7 minutes? You could run a sprint, you could microwave, what? 14 bags of popcorn? We could, I don't know, build a small IKEA chair if we had the right tools. Maybe play a game of cards if we had one deck, and that is crazy because. Tendou started to blabber about something random and try to make his chest calm down while he thought to himself. God, what the hell am I even saying? This is stupid. I should shut up. But if I shut up, then there's silence, and if there's silence he'll hear my heartbeat trying to claw out of my chest. Is this the right moment? No, definitely not. He's just standing there, calm as ever, and I'm here acting like a clown. Maybe that's all I'll ever be to him. Maybe I don't even really like him, maybe I just. No, I do. I like him. Too much. And if I say it, I'll ruin everything. He'll leave. Or we could just stand here and stare at each other until the time is up, huh? How's that sound, Wakatoshi-kun? He threw it out with a lopsided grin, words crashing into each other, desperate to keep the air moving. But Ushijima didn't answer right away. He just watched him, steady, unreadable. Tendou's smile wavered. His chest was screaming. Say something, please say something before I. Tendou. Ushijima said, voice even. Tendou snapped his head up, startled. Yeah, I like you. The words landed like a brick to the chest. Simple. Unshakable. No hesitation, no build-up, just fact. Tendou's grin faltered, collapsing into something rawer. Wah, he laughed, sharp and too high. What? Don't joke like that. You're not exactly the type to. I'm not joking. Ushijima stepped closer, gaze unwavering. I've known for a while. I thought you knew too. Tendou's brain short-circuited. He can't mean that. He does. He's serious. Shit, he's always serious. He actually. His laugh died in his throat, replaced by something shaky, dangerous. You. Tendou's voice cracked, and he pressed a hand to his mouth, half hiding the tremble in his grin. You're insane, Wakatoshi-kun. You just flipped my whole script. Ushijima's expression stayed still, but his voice softened, belly. Then let's write a new one. Tendou's laugh rattled in his chest, too sharp, too broken, and it didn't stop this time. His grin stretched, faltered, broke apart at the edges. He pressed both hands to his face, like if he hid behind them long enough, the moment would dissolve and he wouldn't have to deal with the weight of it. God, Wakatoshi-kun, you can't just. His voice cracked, a jagged little sound. He shook his head, hands slipping down, and his eyes burned. You can't just say things like that and mean it. Don't you get it? I'm a freak, I'm too much, I'll scare you off. You'll realize I'm not worth it. You'll leave. The words tangled in his throat, but the tears nearly slipped anyway. His breath hitched, uneven, the kind of sound he hated making in front of anyone. And then, warmth. Ushijima stepped forward without hesitation, strong arms wrapping around him, pulling him into a chest that was steady and solid as stone. No questions. No judgment. Just there. For a second, Tendou froze, his hands hovering in the air like he wasn't allowed to touch. Then his fingers curled into the fabric of Ushijima's shirt, clutching tight, like if he let go, he'd fall apart completely. He buried his face into his shoulder, a laugh bubbling out between shaky breaths. You're ridiculous, Wakatoshi-kun. Who the hell hugs a monster? Ushijima's hand settled at the back of his head, firm but gentle. You're not a monster. You're Tendou. And I like you. He said simply. That was it. No long explanations. No overcomplicated promises. Just fact. Tendou's shoulders trembled, and he let out another broken laugh, this one softer, wet with the tears he refused to let fall. Dart, you really don't give me a choice, huh? Ushijima didn't answer, didn't need to. His embrace did it for him. And for the first time in a long time, Tendou felt like maybe, just maybe, he didn't have to laugh so loud to keep from falling apart. The timer on someone's phone buzzed faintly outside, followed by loud knocks on the door. Time's up, lovebirds. Toru's voice sing-songed, dripping with curiosity. Tendou still had his face pressed into Ushijima's shoulder, clutching him like he didn't want to let go. His laugh came out muffled. Already? Damn. Feels like I just blinked. His chest still trembled, but the panic had dulled into something warmer, steadier. Ushijima didn't move until Tendou did. When he finally pulled back, eyes suspiciously shiny, he gave a crooked grin to cover it up. Better not let them see me looking like I cried. I'll never live it down. You weren't crying, Ushijima said plainly, brushing his thumb over the edge of Tendou's sleeve as if it were nothing. You were just honest. That hit Tendou harder than any joke could have. He swallowed, barked out a half laugh, and shoved at his chest lightly. You're gonna kill me with that blunt crap, Wakatoshi-kun. Another round of knocking rattled the door. Come on, don't hog the room forever. Tendou inhaled sharply, squared his shoulders, and plastered his grin back on. All right, coming out. Try not to look too jealous, boys. When the door swung open, Tendou strode out first, arms stretched wide like he was presenting himself to an adoring audience. Ta-daa, your favorite duo has returned from the depths of the room. Laughter and whistles rippled through the circle. Someone clapped mockingly. Toru leaned forward with a sly grin. Well, did you two behave yourselves? Tendou only laughed, sharp and loud, tossing his hair out of his face. Wouldn't you like to know? He dropped back down into the circle, his grin too wide, his voice too quick, classic Tendou showmanship. Ushijima followed, calm as ever, expression unreadable. He simply sat back down like nothing had happened, as if 7 minutes in a room in the middle of a party meant nothing out of the ordinary. Most of the group laughed it off and moved on, already eager to spin the bottle again. But across the circle, Semi and Shirabu exchanged a glance. Tendou's eyes were a little too red. Not enough for the whole room to notice, but enough for them, who knew him best. Semi's smirk faltered for just a second. Shirabu frowned, about to ask, then stopped himself. Neither of them said a word. They just looked back to the bottle as it was spun again, letting Tendou keep his mask in place. But the thought lingered, unspoken, something happened in there. And for once, it didn't look like Tendou hated it. Well, Kyoryu drawled, smirking as he leaned back on his hands. That was interesting. Stop making it weird. Kenma shot back, his tone light but his voice tight. Oikawa clapped his hands, breaking the tension. All right, no stalling. Next spin. He leaned forward dramatically and gave the bottle a sharp twist. It wobbled, spun, and finally slowed, the glass neck pointing neatly between Sugawara and Asahi. "Oh, this'll be fun," Bakuto said, grinning wide. Asahi's face went pale. Wait, what? No, maybe it's pointing to someone else. Nope, Sugar interrupted smoothly, already standing. His smile was gentle, but there was something in his eyes that made Asahi nervous. "Come on, Asahi. Rules are rules." Asahi got up like he was heading to the gallows, hands twitching at his sides, and followed Sugar toward the spare room. Full stop. Full stop. Full stop. The door clicked shut behind them, muffling the chatter and laughter from the living room. The quiet that followed made Asahi's pulse pound even louder in his ears. He hovered near the desk like it was a shield, fingers fidgeting with the hem of his sleeve. Sugawara, completely at ease, sat on the bed and leaned back, watching him with that patient, knowing smile. "You look like you're about to be interrogated," Sugar teased lightly. Asahi gave a shaky laugh. I don't know what we're supposed to do in here." "Talk," Sugar said simply. "It's just 7 minutes. Unless you want to make it more than that." He smirked, clearly joking. Asahi's eyes went wide. No, that's not, I mean, you're with Daichi, I would never." He stopped himself, cheeks burning. Sugar chuckled. "Relax. I know. I'm only teasing. But, it's not a bad chance to actually open up. You've been acting kind of wound up lately." "I'm always wound up," Asahi muttered, half under his breath. "True, but this feels different. Like something's eating at you." Asahi looked away, chewing on his lip. "It's nothing. Really, just practice stress. Finals stuff. Suga's tone was unconvinced. "You're a terrible liar, Asahi." That made Asahi wince. "I'm not lying, even if there was something, it's not important." "Not important, or too scary to say out loud?" Asahi froze. His shoulders hunched up, defensive. "I don't." "Sugar, I already told you that I don't like him like that," he blurted, almost too quickly. Sugar didn't move, didn't even blink. Just let the silence settle between them. Asahi swallowed hard. "I mean, I don't. He's my friend. He's so loud, and confident, and amazing at everything, and everyone loves him. And his voice cracked. "I'm just me. It's admiration, that's all. Not like that." Sugar said softly, as if he'd heard this all before. Asahi groaned and buried his face in his hands. "Why are you looking at me like that?" "Because I know you, Asahi." Suga's voice was gentle but firm. "If it was just admiration, you wouldn't be panicking this much about it." Asahi peeked at him between his fingers, mortified. "I'm not panicking. You're sweating." "I always sweat. Not like this." That made Asahi groan again, louder this time, pacing across the room. "Even if I did, what am I supposed to do? He's Noah. He deserves someone as confident as him, not someone who freezes up every time he looks at me too long. He deserves someone braver." Suga's expression softened, almost sad. "And what if the person he wants is you? Have you thought about that?" Asahi stopped dead in his tracks, staring at him like he'd just spoken another language. His mouth opened, but no words came out. For a long moment, the only sound was the muffled thrum of music from the party outside and Asahi's uneven breathing. Finally he muttered, "That's impossible." Sugar stood and crossed the small space, putting a steady hand on Asahi's arm. "No, it's not. You're kind. You're steady. You make people feel safe, Asahi. That's worth more than all the noise and confidence in the world." Asahi's throat tightened. He wanted to believe him, but the doubt in his chest was a storm that never seemed to quiet. "Just think about it. Don't keep running from what you feel, okay?" Suga's voice was calm, but there was steel underneath it. Asahi swallowed, his chest tight. "You make it sound so easy." Sugar chuckled softly, shaking his head. "It wasn't easy for me either." Asahi blinked, startled. "What do you mean?" "You and Daichi are, you work. Everyone can see that. It's natural. Now it is," Sugar said, his smile faint. "But back then, I was terrified. Daichi was my best friend, my captain. What if I ruined everything? What if he didn't feel the same and I had to see him every day, pretending I wasn't in love with him?" Asahi's eyes widened. He'd never thought of it like that. I told myself 100 times that it wasn't real. That it was just admiration, or just friendship, or just respect. I tried to convince myself of that for months. But it never went away. And the more I ignored it, the worse it got. Like this constant weight on my chest. Asahi's fingers twisted in his sleeves. So what did you do? Suga laughed quietly. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I just blurted it out, half shaking, half crying, honestly embarrassing. His expression softened, remembering. And he just looked at me, and smiled, and said he felt the same. Asahi's throat went dry. That really happened. MMHM. Suga's tone was warm, steady. And if I hadn't said anything, I would have kept living in fear, convinced he could never like me back. But I would have been wrong. Asahi turned away, rubbing his neck furiously, panic creeping back into his chest. That's different. That's you. You're confident, and smart, and funny. People like you. Of course Daichi would. He broke off, words tangling in his throat. I'm not like that. Suga stepped closer, tilting his head to catch Asahi's eyes. You don't have to be like me, Asahi. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. That's enough. Asahi's voice cracked. But what if it's not? The silence stretched for a moment. Then Suga sighed and placed both hands gently on Asahi's shoulders, grounding him. Listen, you can keep pretending it's nothing. Keep denying it. But feelings have a way of finding you, no matter how hard you try to bury them. You'll have to face them sooner or later. Asahi's chest heaved, breath uneven, his mind a storm of I can't. He wanted to believe Suga, wanted to cling to that hope. But the fear was louder. A knock on the door startled him so hard he almost jumped out of his skin. 7 minutes. Suga gave him a reassuring squeeze before letting go. Just think about it, okay? When they stepped back into the living room, Asahi's face was flushed, his nerves written all over him. Nobody asked, thank God, but Nishinoya immediately waved from across the room, bright and carefree, and Asahi's stomach did a flip so violent he nearly stumbled. Full stop. To be continued.